Is that right? Vamos.
Gets the money indeed.
I'm very happy. I got the ham.
There you go. That's cool. What?
Cheers.
Come on, let's do one together.
Red auction. We're excited.
We, as well as trying to raise money for life-saving drugs, we have to keep it in the public consciousness that this is far from done, and this virus, we have to outrun it, or it will outrun us, and that would be really awful after making such progress. And again, people think AIDS is done, and complacency about the progress we've made will lead to complicity in future failure. So there's a lot at stake, there's some jeopardy, and there's a lot of life.
It's a tough battle to take on such a strong position, but it's a better battle when you're not alone. And I think spending time with David and Bono and watching these things progress, it just feels like there's some hope that this seemingly unending enemy may be more tameable than we think.
I mean, the theme for us this year was light, and we wanted it to be about shedding light again on something that could be very quickly forgotten about and would, cause, it's rising in places that we don't see, and we want to stop that. And I think that light is a great metaphor, it's the great clarifier.
Oh my gosh, for us it's the third time that we've had a big art auction, and to be here in Miami in the design district with all these fabulous artists and bidders and all around one cause, just raising money for the fight against AIDS. It's quite exciting for us.
Actually, I did something for Bono in South Africa on World AIDS Day. And Africa is important on many levels. We have to change the narrative of Africa. That's one of the reasons I came to support Bono tonight and flew 27 hours because he's worth it. I think there's art, there's my world of fashion, there's tech. I think we all have to come together when it's trying to change something and make people understand that the forces in united can make it happen. The bigger the crowd, the better.
But it feels great because although we have made some money, thank God, $600 million for the Global Fund, we also need to tell people that HIV is still a crisis, and these kinds of events and creation of artistic stuff communicates to people that HIV is still important. Keeping it front and center is very important, and we like to do them not only in Miami at big events like this, but smaller events throughout the United States and throughout the world where people get to know that the pandemic still exists. It's very, very important to keep the funding going. We call it heat. So we get a little bit of cash, and then we also get a lot of heat by doing events like this.
It's like a really, really intense and close friendship, and I think like every great friendship, it's been an incredible collaboration. This, as you might know, is the third time that we've partnered with RED. To date, we've raised over $68 million towards the fight for HIV and AIDS. I think, undoubtedly the highlights are the works that Theaster and David have contributed. I mean, Theaster's, host piece, which is, as you know, the origins of those works are in kind of social reform, and some are kind of, the hoses that were used in the race riots in the late 1960s and 50s. So that's very, very poignant. David's furniture, of course, the table, which is a one-off, totally unique. There's never going to be another one. That's another one. You're getting something terrific for your money.
Well, RED has made huge contributions, spectacular contributions to the fight against AIDS. The Global Fund has received over $600 million. And it's not just the money, because RED creates awareness, a buzz. It's a way of tackling a little bit of the complacency that sometimes people have about the fight against AIDS. The Global Fund has had extraordinary impact on AIDS. Since the peak, deaths from AIDS have more than halved, and infections have come down dramatically. But still far too many people are catching HIV. 2 million people last year, what's really shocking is that something like 1,000 adolescent girls and young women catch HIV every single day. Tonight's event is a great example of what people can do. Here what we're seeing is the artistic and design community really coming together in an imaginative and collaborative way to raise money and awareness about the fight.
I'm very excited not only to fight against AIDS in Africa, of course, but to have representation from all such interesting artists and the curators. David Adjaye and Theaster are such wonderful people, such creative minds, so very happy to participate. RED has been so good over the years at putting together these charity events and raising unbelievable amounts of money.
Oh, this is super. I've been looking forward to this for months, you know. It's been a long time in development. I remember I got the red box and I didn't know what to make of it. Theaster and David, old friends of mine, so I'm really happy to be here. Well, I mean, anything we can do as artists to fight against AIDS all over the world, not just in Africa, I think is really important, critically important. And obviously my contribution is just a small drop in the bucket, but we do what we can.
I'm delighted. I know the RED team has put a massive amount of work in with a lot of support from a lot of people. And it couldn't be more important that it's happening right now, given where we are in fighting the AIDS epidemic. So I'm thrilled to be here. The fact is that AIDS is still a crisis of now. We've come so far, but there are thousands of girls being infected every week. There are thousands of people who are still suffering from the virus without the care and treatment they need. And if we can keep going, if we can motivate and mobilize people's attention and imagination again, we can get to the finish line. But we need nights like this to do it. The challenge is there's a bit of complacency, and it's not, I don't think it's malicious. But you know, we see it among communities, even in the United States, where people think, oh, AIDS is not what it was years ago, it's not the big threat. And we're seeing an increase in incidence in some communities as a result of that. What they can do, support RED. There are a ton of great RED products you can buy. And by that, you're supporting the Global Fund. Let your governments know that they should still invest in the fight against AIDS, and particularly the U.S. government. We've been a leader on this on a bipartisan basis, and we need to keep going.
The most incredible man, a legend, a man, and now a friend of ours that we can't believe. We're gonna go, wow, yeah, we know Bono. But Bono is a beacon. This is one of the many things he does, but this is, I think, the heart. Yeah. And you know, I have to introduce you, sir. Please come up, the beacon, the legend, Bono.
It's a funny old thing, alchemy, isn't it? Turning heavy metals into gold is the job of most rock bands. Turning shite into gold is how James Joyce described his daily toil. Turning pain into beauty is often at the heart of the transaction that we call fine art. Turning pain into beauty, then beauty back into painkillers, is a good approximation of what tonight's about. Welcome to RED Art. The terrors of the night come creeping into your day, and the world comes
stealing children from your room. Guard your innocence from hallucination, and know that darkness always gathers around the light. There is a light you can't always see. If there is a world we can't always be, if there is a dark that we shouldn't doubt, there is a light, don't let it go out.
Use them generously. And last and not least, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your great service. 600,000. It's Max. It's against you, Max. It's here with Gregoire at $600 here. 22. Give me 5 either side of me at 22,000. It's up front at 22,000. $50,000. It's Gregoire's bidding. Want to go on? At $150,000. There it is. $150,000 still. Gregoire's bidder, $150,000.